Welcome to the Ricky Matthews Show from the Citizens Bank Studio. I hope you're having a great day as we continue to talk about issues and celebrate people from across the great state of Mississippi who really care, who want this to be a great place to live, work, and play. Over 1,700 conversations since we started this show 5 years ago, and it has been a real honor to have the opportunity to do that. And every now and then we have heavy conversations. We've had a few of those recently. But it's part of the deal. And, so by trying to keep people alive, that's what we're trying to do. And, so we're going to focus on tough stuff, every now and then. And today is one of those days. And, but there's a really important event that's coming up on October the 18th. It's around this whole notion of one pill can kill, every step counts. I have a constant sort of undercurrent to this show about about fentanyl and what fentanyl can do. And, today is about that. And so without any further ado, let me bring my friend Bill Webb in. Bill actually retired from the Mississippi Development Authority, was there 31 years. And so in the course of my time as the publisher of the Sun Herald and on this show, Bill and my paths has crossed so many times I've lost count. But anyway, without any further ado, let me welcome Bill to the Ricky Matthews Show. Bill, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm good, Ricky. I'm good. I caught the last part of your segment a while ago, and Stafford's a great guy.
It was good conversation. Hey, so let's talk about this. Mississippi Development Authority, 31 years. Give people a sense of what you did there.
Well, it actually was my fifth career. I graduated from Mississippi State in 70 and 72 with a master's. Taught school and coached for 7 years. You probably didn't know that. Then I worked with the LTL trucking industry as manager and salesman for Roadway, Yellow Freight, and a couple of others for 14 years. Then I did insurance and securities work for a firm in Jackson for several years. Then I did ISO 9000 training and quality assurance with companies all over the state of Mississippi. And then I needed to go to work again at MDA, which was the Mississippi Department of Economic and Community Development. You remember that acronym. Back then, Jimmy Heidel was there. He hired me as a regional manager. I had a choice to go into Hattiesburg or the Gulf Coast, and I said, I'm a Mississippi State graduate. I think I better go to the coast. So I've been here since 95.
Yeah.
It's been
our paths crossed many times along the way, but MDA, the role they have is multifaceted in this state. But the role they're playing these days as it relates to working closely with the governor and economic development leaders in the region and counties across the state, that focus has been intense, hasn't it?
Unbelievable. I mean, from landing some of the new businesses out at Stennis Space Center, which you talked quite a bit about, and then new places over in Jackson County, the industrial city of the state, basically. But working with boards of supervisors, city councils, economic development directors, and watching them come and go, and me still be hanging around after all those years. Ricky, you talk a lot about relationships, and I learned a long time ago, and having the experiences in different careers, I was able to build multiple relationships and skill sets that helped me along the way. My dad was a politician, 36 years as circuit clerk and chancery clerk in Newton County, Mississippi. So I don't meet a stranger, and I met you again quite often after Katrina when you were on the governor's commission and I was working with Joe Spraggins. I couldn't do economic development at the time, so he brought me on to do some stuff with emergency management. So we just a lot of relationships built, and it doesn't matter if you're building widgets or spaceships. The relationships is what matters.
It really is. It really is. Listen, Cam Walk is coming up on Saturday, October the 18th at
Yes.
7:30. Talk about why this is important to you.
Well, I'll get emotional, but my 17-year-old granddaughter, Camden Elliott, had some anxiety issues, and she had been getting some help. And Dr. Killebrew, a psychologist up in Jackson, had sent her over to Texas, where she was in about a 4.5, 5-week session dealing with her anxiety. And when she got out, she called. We did a Zoom call. Everything was fine. And a week later, she had passed away. As a couple of, I say, thugs that one of them, I think, was in the same session that she was in, gave her what she thought was her anxiety medicine. And, I mean, she didn't make it. It was, and it's been terrible on our family. So I guess in August of 24, my daughter and my other 3 grandkids and her husband met with Lynn Fitch and started talking about we wanted to do something, not as a fundraiser, but an awareness to make, just like you said earlier. It's important that kids all the way down in elementary school now are aware of the dangers of taking anything. I mean, the lady that does my hair, she said, Bill, my daughter's 11 years old, and I tell her, don't take anything that from anybody unless it's a school nurse, and then if you're not sure what it is, call me. I mean, that's how serious it is out there. I have got some statistics that the Mississippi Bureau of Narcotics has sent me on things that help with the awareness. I have reached out to all the school districts down here via email talking about this walk. I know I sent you the deals, but there are posters all over the place, and there's going to be some more before then. But the Attorney General's office printed all these posters for us, and then I'm going to give a shout out to Elite Screen Printing there in Gulfport, Jeremy Carruthers. He donated 250 T-shirts like the one I got on. But anyway, we're selling those T-shirts for $15 a piece, and all that money will go to the Attorney General's office One Pill Can Kill program for them to buy Narcan and these kits that they are handing out all over. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. But it's vitally important if we can save one life. Everybody that I know knows somebody that has either lost a loved one or a close friend or a relative of a close friend because of fentanyl. And it doesn't take anything. And as you mentioned, I received my oldest grandson worked in cybersecurity at the Pentagon, and he's friends with a lot of DEA folks. And when I did Tide Trenchard show earlier this year, I had some information that DEA sent about one particular mule out of California was receiving the precursors out of China. He was hauling them into Mexico, selling them to the cartels, and the cartels were manufacturing everything that looks like Tylenol to Xanax to you name it. You can't tell the difference. So then this new administration came in, they started shutting down the border, and that has done some good. It has slowed down the transfer across the border. And there's some statistics here that show that in Mississippi there was a 39% drop from 2023 to now.
Hey, let's do this because we're coming up on the end of this segment. But
okay,
when we get back on the other side, we ought to start this segment by sharing some of these statistics and some of this information we got from the Attorney General's office, because I think it's really good stuff. And one of the things that really stuck out in my last conversation with someone about fentanyl, it may have been with Angel Myers.
Yes,
is where this may have come up, but we certainly talked about it. But it was this notion that the point you just made, that the pill pressing that they're doing, they can make these drugs look like any other drug. Like, I mean, imagine, like Bill just pointed out, Tylenol. That's why you can't just take it from somebody and trust where it came from. It's not just whether it should look like the pharmacy drug or not, but it may be over-the-counter drugs that it looks like, and it can be extremely deadly. And the person who's doing the pill pressing on whatever that is, they don't care if you live or die. And all it takes is a speck of fentanyl. So what we're going to do on the other side, we'll pick it up from right there. We're visiting with my friend, longtime friend, Bill Webb. We'll see you after this. Welcome back to the Ricky Matthews Show from the Citizens Bank Studio. We're visiting with Bill Webb. Again, he and I know each other from way back through the Mississippi Development Authority. And I learned some stuff about the first part of his career that I didn't know about. I actually was going to jokingly ask him, how old is he, 113? Because he seems to, each of these careers that he was there for a good long time, but he looks youthful. I can tell you that. But he's here because this cam walk is coming up on Saturday, October the 18th, at 7:30, is to celebrate the life of Camden Elliott while bringing awareness to dangers of fentanyl. And she was his granddaughter. And it's sad. I mean, it's sad in so many different ways. But I mean, it is what it is. What you're trying to do now is make the pain that you and your family have experienced your mission. And if you can save one child, it's going to make a difference. And I think everyone who's been touched by fentanyl, people who've been on the show or people who are in law enforcement roles or have touched families that have had experienced losses, I think it renews a determination, I guess is probably the best way to say it, to say we can never take our eye off the ball. I mean, one of the things you've learned in working with Lynn Fisher's department is they're all focused on this because they're tired of seeing it. Now, look, we saw a spike during COVID, and we've seen the deaths come down just a little bit. And certainly with the tighter borders, we've seen some impact on that. But man, I tried to do the math recently. And still about one person every 2 weeks is dying from some form of drug overdose. Usually it's fentanyl. And Bill, why don't you do this? Share some of these statistics that we got from the Attorney General's office.
All right. Every year, the Mississippi Bureau of Narcotics does a drug threat assessment. And what that basically does is they look at every opioid, non-opioid, methamphetamine, marijuana, every drug that's out there, and they do an assessment on where we are as Mississippi in that fight against those drugs. They identify, quantify, and prioritize the nature, extent, and scope of the threat of the drugs and on drug-related crimes. And as we all know, the really heinous crimes are committed. It's generally somebody that is on drugs or is dealing the drugs themselves. But the one that I focused on out of the 7 threat assessments they did is the fentanyl and opioids. And I'll just read a couple of these statistics. The illegally manufactured synthetic opioids is the greatest drug threat in the state of Mississippi. Fentanyl is the leading cause of death among 18 to 40-year-olds. The latest statistics in 2023, you mentioned this a little bit, Mississippi lost 258 people to related overdoses of fentanyl. 2 milligrams, or the equivalent of 15 grains of salt, can be lethal in most cases. I mentioned that from 23 to 24, there was a 39% decrease. There's a lot of reasons for that. The Attorney General's one pill can kill. The Department of Public Safety, you mentioned Sean Tyndall and his Department of Narcotics. We all know that I-20 and through Jackson and I-10 down here are main thoroughfares for drug trafficking, human trafficking, and a lot of that. And so they have focused really, really hard for the last 3 years on slowing it down. And hopefully this awareness walk will make people even more aware. But it said the DEA seized enough in the last year to kill every American. Think about that.
Yeah, it's incredible. 100 times more potent than morphine, 50 times more potent than heroin. I mean, it's just extremely dangerous. And, it's cheap to manufacture. So they're trying to use that to
the markup on it for the drug cartels and the people that are marketing is like they pay little or nothing to do it, and then they selling it for, of course, they give it away to start with so they can get people addicted to it. And the ones that get addicted and don't die, it's so addictive that they're still using it. It says the seizures of illicit drugs laced with fentanyl and fentanyl-laced counterfeit pills that you mentioned earlier are increasing along with overdoses involving fentanyl. Drug cartels are turning to fentanyl as a cheaper alternative to other opioids. And we all know that. But it's not out there. It's not out in all of our schools. My daughter made a point, and my son-in-law, that the reason this needs to be pushed all the way down into the elementary is because older siblings are driving those kids to school. And if they're into that sort of thing, then there's a whole new customer base that's out there that are unaware. So,
hey, I think one of the areas that we've had a lot of success with, and we continue to have conversation with, but it's this whole notion of fentanyl harm prevention kits. That's really important, isn't it?
It is unbelievably important. And the statistics that Lynn's office sent out was they started to address this mainly. They've distributed over 25,000 fentanyl harm prevention kits with great partners across the state. We've already mentioned some of those partners: Department of Mental Health, Department of Public Safety, and those folks. And then they started, I think, at Ole Miss. That was the first university that they went into, and they put these drug stations that had Narcan. It had strips to detect fentanyl. And then they've been raising money to put that in all the community colleges, all the four-year HBCU colleges, all of that. And also, now, Lynn just told me last week, they're trying to get it in all the high schools and junior highs. So, I mean, if this walk helps make people aware and want to do something and make donations, any of the donations will go back to the Attorney General's office. They also distributing 1,400 overdose emergency boxes to be placed in places.
What's amazing, people, some fraternities are now have these kits inside their fraternities. I think when you start to realize that the form that fentanyl can come in and how widely distributed it is today, then it can enter into, someone maybe just taking it for the first time, or maybe they don't even know they're taking it. That's the sad part about it.
That's the sad part.
It's not like it's like the old days. You think about LSD and heroin, and oh man, we're not going to get into trying to solve this. This is situations where people don't know they're possessing it, and the drugs that treat it are very effective. They can give people a chance to get to the hospital and be saved, and that's all we're trying to do is give people a chance to be saved.
And everybody's
from
tolerance is different, Ricky. Everybody
Yes.
has a different tolerance, just like you do to alcohol or like you do anything else. On the show with Tide, we had Josh Barton from Home to Grace. He has seen a lot of their people that go through the rehab, leave, just like Tide, and come back and then go back out and bam, they're dead. I mean, because this is their new drug they go to.
So let's do this. We got less than a minute to go. Just give the facts once again on the CAM walk that's coming up.
The CAM walk is coming up Saturday, October 18th. It will start at the ticket office area at the aquarium, at the Mississippi Aquarium. Kurt's been very, very nice to us to let us do that. We will walk from there up to 2nd Street, down 2nd Street to Centennial Plaza. My daughter told me this morning that there will probably be 10 to 12 tents set up with the Attorney General, Department of Mental Health, organizations that are out there fighting this, and some speeches, some 5-minute talks there. Coast Transit Authority has agreed to have their buses there to take people back to the parking areas by the aquarium. People have been fantastic to do that. My daughter wanted me to mention one thing, that my granddaughter Cam wanted to be deeply involved in helping other people with mental issues. She was even planning to go and get her degree in psychology. So
wow. Listen, I know how difficult it is to tell that story, and I feel and I pray for your family. I'm inspired though that you have the energy to focus on making this very difficult pain in your family into something that maybe will save other kids. So that's CAM Walk coming up on Saturday, October the 18th at 7:30. Go walk. Bill, thank you for joining me, my friend.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Help get the word out.
You bet, for sure. We'll see you after this break.